Now, something either serious or casual players need to keep in mind is when you're talking about getting kids involved in sport, especially in basketball, I believe that basketball is great in terms of physical fitness and activity and becoming sort of athletic, using whatever athleticism you have, because I believe that basketball is the most athletic American sport we have. I have a video explaining why that is. That being the case, that means basketball is kind of a double-edged sword, which is, yes, basketball can get you into great shape. It's a great source of fitness. It can bring out whatever athleticism you do have if you have great, genes and genetics to be a good athlete. The flip side being, if a kid isn't that athletic, if they don't have athletic genes, genetics in their family, if they don't have, specific basketball talent, they're just not that great, naturally at basketball, it's unlikely that they are going to stick with basketball as they get older. Just keep in mind that it's unlikely that they stick with basketball, into their teenage years if they're not all that athletic. Now getting into how do you get them involved, as a casual player, as just sort of physical activity for them when they're young. It's important that when you're doing this, when you're trying to encourage them to play basketball, really just comes down to having them exposed to as much basketball as possible. So like in the home, that means having them have a basketball, that's their size, that's appropriate for them, their height, that they're able to handle and use. A lot of players, a lot of kids who are, starting to get involved in basketball, they spend a lot of their time, maybe even the majority of their time, not really using the basketball, but just handling it. You're just having it in their hands and just spinning it and, just sort of like fiddling with it, right? Just sort of, getting used to having, a basketball in their hands, getting used to the feel of a basketball in their hands, getting used to sort of the weight and how it moves, how it spins, how it hangs in the air when they toss it. Just sort of fiddling with a basketball like that without actually, dribbling it or doing anything basketball specific with it. The more they're able to, handle a basketball and get used to it and enjoy it, hopefully, the more likely they are to get involved further with the sport. And of course, you want that ball to be, specific to their size, their body size, their height, so that they can handle it for whatever size hands, arms that they have, so that not only can they handle it, but they can also dribble it and control it. Because if you have a basketball that's too big and your hands are small on the basketball, you can't really control, how you're handling and what you're doing with it. You definitely can't dribble a basketball or shoot a basketball that's too big for your hands. So you want to, keep basketballs around that are size appropriate for your kid and have them, readily available all the time, in their visual, field, so that if they happen to see a basketball, then they're more likely to use it. If they don't see it, if it's in the other room or a toy box or something, it's less likely they're going to use it. So keep the basketball in visual range, that's size appropriate for them as often as possible. And the same thing goes for a basketball hoop, one that's size appropriate to them, one that they can shoot on, maybe they can even, reach and, dunk on as a little kid. Whatever exposure they can have to sort of basketball-esque movements, activities that are readily available to them, the more exposure they have to it, the more likely they are to gravitate towards that sport.